Welcome to Mastery of Writing the Personal Narrative. Lesson 4, Video 4. This is the fourth lecture on strategies a writer uses as he or she develops a plan for a personal narrative. There is not one plan for a personal narrative, and writers certainly do not all plan the same way. However, all writers do plan what they write. Once you have viewed the lectures on planning strategies, you will have many tools to help you develop a plan that best suits your narrative. We will look at planning the chronology and establishing a moment in time for a personal narrative in this video. As you watch this video, consider how you want to set up your plan. We're going to work with a chronology tool that every writer who writes stories uses. We're going to learn how to create a storyboard. Make sure you take good notes. And, as with every lecture, you're going to be asked to submit a question for inquiry. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to effectively use a storyboard program to plan a personal narrative for chronology. You will also be able to establish a point of time for your story. Your class time will be devoted to using the planning tools you will learn about in these 4 videos to form a foundation for your narrative. And do you remember what you need to bring for class? Patience. And yes, your work. Your instructor will help you with whatever you bring to class. So make sure you bring something. Are you ready? In any part of a writing plan, you want to be aware of economy of scale. This term is borrowed from the study of economics, and it means, basically, that you want to create a desired result with exactly what you need, nothing more, nothing less. When you design a storyboard, you want to include events that are absolutely necessary to your story. The chronology, the order of events, must support your story and be easy for your audience to follow. For our storyboard, we're going to use a program called Storyboard That. This is not the only way to create a storyboard. There are many storyboard products to choose from. You could also create a storyboard in Microsoft Word using SmartArt. Storyboard That is pretty awesome though. It's fun to use and it gives you a visual of your story. If you use Storyboard That, your instructor will show you how to set up your account when you get to class. I have Storyboard That up and there are 3 cells on the screen. I have a sense of how my story will go and I don't think 3 is going to be enough. So I'm going to add 3 more cells. At the bottom you'll see Add Cells. Click through at this point and you'll get a pop-up with several choices. I'm going to create 2 rows with 3 cells. I'm going to create events in each cell that includes my plans for character and setting. I have those plans in front of me and I refer to them as I create my storyboard. So make sure that you have your character and your setting plans ready for your next class meeting. For the first cell, I click through the tab at the top next to characters that's labeled Scenes. Beneath the top row of tabs, there are now 6 choices: Home, Town, School, Work, Simple, and Outdoor. Now don't try to set up the perfect scene. It's probably not possible to create a scene that is exactly like yours. You want to set up a scene that makes sense. For the first cell, I'm choosing Home. Now I have a new row of choices below the second row of tabs. Once again, don't try to match your setting exactly. I'm going to choose this one in the middle that has a mailbox in front of a house. I have the scene for my plan in the first cell, and now I do the same thing with my character plan. I need one for a 4-year-old boy and one for a father. So I click through the Character tab and I get several choices again. In fact, the first group is for adults. Notice that there are 6 additional choices for character: young'uns, modern, classical, silhouettes, animals, and outfits. For my father, I obviously need an adult male. With my mouse, I move through the possibilities until I find one that's right, or at least close to right. He has his hands up in the air. And for this cell, I want to give my father this sense of telling me that he doesn't know where my dog Skippy ran off to, so having the hands up in the air is perfect. You need to dress your characters. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on this, but you do need to put some clothes on them. Now I want to represent the 4-year-old me. I need a kid, so I click through the Young'uns tab. Then I take my mouse and I move down the row of suspects until I find the one I like. I like this young boy with his back to the audience. That way I can have him face the father. Perfect. I want the little boy asking the father where Skippy is, so I want a textable, which is a tab at the top, 3 over from the left. This one looks good. 12 font is too big. You want to bring down the size of your font, even to 9. And you can also shrink the text bubble so it doesn't cover up the mailbox. Just put the cursor at the side of the image, keep your figure down and slide it in. And then you can come at it from all 4 directions. Let's move on to scene 2. I want to establish the part of my story where I wandered around neighborhoods that I'd never been to before. And I like this one with the white fence and the road. I'm going to put myself on the other side of the fence and see how that shows how I walked further away from home. And I also just copied the little boy figure from cell 1 here, and that makes the work quicker. Scene 3 needs to be about knocking on doors, asking about my dog Skippy. I like this one with 3 row houses. I'll use a text bubble again. I'm just going to use the 4-year-old me here. In scene 4, I want to show the little boy coming up to a very nice house. And I'm not finding what I want, so I had to use a castle. There were no castles in my story, but this'll do for the image I need. The young boy arriving at an unknown door where his aunt is visiting a nice lady. Scene 5 is about my aunt and me returning to my house. We were actually in a car, but I don't have any car choices, and it doesn't matter. The idea I need is that my aunt took me home. So I go to the outdoor tab, scroll across. Here's a nice road. I like this one. Now, I have the little boy with his back to the audience as he's leaving town. So in scene 5, it's important to reverse the little boy. He needs to face us as he travels back home with his aunt. We can copy the aunt from the scene before. The 6th and last scene is my aunt and me back at my house. We are greeted by my dad, and for this cell I can pretty much copy and paste. We want the first scene with the mailbox to show a sense of returning home, and we can use the puzzled aunt and the father who claims he doesn't know anything. If it's important to your story that a character change his or her mood, then you need to create another character like we did when the young boy faced us upon his return home. If it's not important that a character change mood, then just use the character that you started with. There you have it, a chronology of my personal narrative created in Storyboard That. There were many other parts to the story and I didn't include them. Because I had my character and setting plans in front of me, I didn't veer off course. My story is about leaving home at the age of 4 and how I made it back, and that's what my storyboard represents. When you create your storyboard, you want to make sure it represents the story that you want to tell. Don't make it too short and don't overdo it. Be willing to cut some of your ideas out of your storyboard if you're overdoing it. And be willing to expand your storyboard if you are not representing the story that you want to tell. One last word of caution before I let you go. You can spend a lot of time in Storyboard That. It's fun, and there are many choices to make. You want to create a great storyboard for your narrative, but it's not the end result you're looking for. The storyboard is part of the planning process. It's impossible to get the exact setting for your narrative sometimes. The character you have in mind might not show up under the Character tab. Choose something that's close and move on. I bet you'll end up liking your storyboard even if there are 1 or 2 parts to it that don't quite match the reality of your story. And there it is, a storyboard that represents the chronology of my story. Okay, you now have several planning tools that you can use for your personal narrative. Your instructor will help you with whatever you bring to class. And I know directions are sometimes hard to follow. If you aren't getting it, don't give up. Watch the video again. Watch the other planning videos again too. And if you're going to use Storyboard That, your instructor will have your username and password for you the next time your class meets. One more thing. Make sure you submit your question for the inquiry session.
Work hard and have fun.